And today I want to talk about something which is a bit problematic. Well, a lot of things are a bit problematic when you start talking about spirituality. Spirituality in itself is problematic. But today I want to talk about purity, about pure, how to have creation which is pure, and what does it even mean? And is it something that is possible? Do you know what is pure? Do you know what kind of creation is pure? And do you know how to achieve it if you know what it is? Creation in itself is very complex. We were talking about what it means having inspiration, having an idea, having an intention, and trying to create something out of this concept, out of this idea, out of this intention that we have. When I'm talking about purity, I'm talking about trying to have a process and trying to have a result which is as close as possible to the original intention that you had, to the original feeling that you had when you started the process, when you started the work, when you started the project. Because there's a lot of things that happen while we are working. There's a lot of things that happen while we are planning. There's a lot of outside environmental issues that change our plan, that change our ideas. We get a lot of feedback from people, positive feedback, negative feedback. We get a lot of input. Even from the work itself that we are doing, we get input. We see what we do, we have a feedback from what our eyes see. Is it the way that we wanted it to look? Is it something different? Is it in the right direction? Do I have to change something? Going through the process of creation is not like going through an expressway when you have a straight line that you can go through. It's more like a river that goes a little bit like a serpent, and then it divides into this part, and this part is more narrow, this part is less, this part is more peaceful, this part is more, full of rough waters that you have to go through. When I'm talking about purity, I'm talking about trying to remain faithful to the concept that you started. Trying to remain faithful to the idea that you had. Now, it is not something that you're obliged to do, that you have to do, that you're even forced to do. Sometimes, the process in itself is a beautiful thing. Sometimes the change that you go through is the actual creation. So I'm not saying you have to think of something when you start creating and you have to stick to that and do that and continue no matter what. No. I'm saying that this is an option. I'm saying that this is a possibility. I'm saying that this is something that you have to keep in mind. Do I want to retain the purity of this project, or do I want to go wild? Do I want to go like a leaf in the wind and let every small thing change me? And who knows where I'll go? Who knows where I'll get? Who knows what will be the result? It could be something amazing. It could be something unexpected. On some stage, on some level, even that has a certain purity with it. Because you can say to yourself, okay, I will let the process lead me. I will let randomness or the universe lead my project, and I will go with that flow. This is also a kind of purity. This is also a kind of pure form creation. You can either stick to your pure original idea, or you can go with the pure concept. The reason that I'm even talking about the word pure and the fact that you have these options is because it's like a setting in your brain or in your heart. Depends on where you think creation comes from. As you know, the camera that is being used to film this video has different settings. The computer that I use to edit has different settings. A lot of things in our world have different settings because it means that they are more flexible. It is not something that is used only one thing as one way to do one product. Creation also has these kind of settings. When I'm talking about purity, about keeping the purity, I'm talking about choosing a certain setting and going with it, being loyal to this kind of setting. When you create your next project, your next creation, your next art piece, your next musical composition, your next interior design, your next hoodie, your next sneaker, think for yourself for a minute, what is my original idea? What is my original process? Do I want to keep to the purity of the idea? Do I want to keep to the purity of the process? Do I want to do a hybrid? I'm not saying that one way is better than the other. I'm just saying that these are things that you have to consider and choose. I know that my favorite projects, or at least the projects that spoke best to me, that I felt that I identify with more, were projects where the level of purity was high. Because that meant that I was doing them for myself, by myself. I was having a little less influence from the outside. It was more personal for me in these specific projects. So I appreciate purity. I like purity. Sometimes I like to go with purity all the way. And this is a spiritual process because you need guts, you need balls, you need to have faith. You need to have faith in the process. You need to have faith in yourself in order to retain that purity. If you have faith, it will be easier for you to keep the purity without thinking about it. Because it's not something that you want to force. It is not something that you want to have as a law. I must keep the purity of the project. No, we are not talking about things like that. If you have a level of faith in yourself, in your process, in your retention, in your creation, it will just be easier for you to have pure creation, pure ideas, and maybe pure result, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I found it to be exhilarating. I found it to be very useful, very practical, very effective. Try and see if it works for you.